Hey all, welcome to Parker's Reefs. In today's episode, we're going to check out one of my most viewed reef tanks on this channel. It's John Sims' incredible mixed reef. All right, guys, thank you for joining me in another episode of Parker's Reefs. And yes, as touched on in the intro, a tank that has been viewed well over 100,000 times on this channel is due for a catch-up. We're going to go to John Sims' house and check out his incredible 6-year-old mixed reef tank and find out what's been happening since our last visit there, because John is a real reefer and he has some highs and some lows to share with us. And personally, I feel like it's super important to represent a realistic image of reef keeping, because it is very easy to jump on social media and showcase our tanks when they're kicking goals. But let's face it, we all do have some lows with our tanks from time to time. And John's a real reefer and he wants to share what the journey has been like over the last couple of years. So I guess enough preamble for me. Let's go see the man himself and see what's been happening in John's incredible mixed reef. All right, here we are, John. You've got one of my most viewed tanks on my YouTube channel, and it's been a little while since we've been here, a bit over a year now, I think, and there's been a heap of changes with the tank, so super excited to get back here and check out your beautiful tank. Before we jump into the changes, I was hoping you could take us through just a brief history for those who didn't see the first video of the tank and how long it's been running, the size, and basic things like that.
No worries. Welcome back, Sam, and to your viewers if you were here last time. For those of you that weren't, the tank's a custom built 6 foot by 28 by 28 inch. It's got 4 Radeon XR30 Gen 3s with diffusers above it. We put the hood on this time just for those who thought we should have a hood. Underneath, we'll have a look later very shortly, but water flow wise, sorry guys, we've got a couple of coral box QP16s up the top. There's been quite a few changes water flow wise. I've added Nero 5s down below the big QP16s on both sides. Up the other end, we did have a MaxSpec Jump Series 4, but I just found it wasn't strong enough, so we've added the XR350, and it's got a little coral box 8 beside it, which buys down on the hammers that you'll see on the other side. Underneath, we've got big skimmer, the I200 Cove, which is fantastic, very, very quiet. And the other big change, Sam, that your viewers wouldn't know about, we've got a great big Kalkwasser.
Big Kalkwasser in there.
Reactor in there now.
She's a decent sized unit, hey? Does look familiar.
It's a big one, yeah, same as yours. So, and I'll talk about the reasons behind that shortly.
Sure.
The rest of the sump really hasn't changed. Exactly the same as we've had for 12 months. There's a little bit of carbon running on there now, but that's sort of once a month we do that for a few days.
Yep.
The rest of the sump hasn't really changed. It's just the Kalkwasser.
No, keeping it simple is
yep, that's always been my goal, for as long as we could keep it simple.
Yeah.
Fewer things to go wrong.
Absolutely.
Though I do love the gadgets that you have, and maybe one day some of it.
Gadgets are fun, but a tank looking like this is clearly the main priority. So I mean, this is what we all aim for, is to get something looking like this. So I know whilst there might not have been a huge amount of changes in the infrastructure, there has been quite a few changes inside the tank. You want to take us through what's been going on in there?
We've had a rough time, actually.
Yep.
So about 3 months after you were last here, the Kalkwasser reactor went on.
Yep.
And what I didn't mention in the previous video is that we've always struggled with the pH in the tank.
Sure.
In this, it was always sitting around 7.9, and it actually got down to 7.8 during last winter.
Wow, okay.
Well, with 3 people working from home, all the house locked up. So I made the call on the Kalkwasser because I didn't want to go calcium reactor.
Yep.
That worked fine. It did get the pH up to 8.1. You sort of dropped back to 8 now, but it has certainly done its job.
Sure.
That was the first big change. I let everything settle for a little while. Then in September of that year, we actually saw a real spike in growth. And for the viewers who saw the last video, they would have noticed there was a great big Dallas sitting up the top of the tank there. It was quite mature.
Some massive colonies in there,
The base of that Dallas got encrusted by a Montipora. completely wrapped around the base and grew up about 2 inches up the base. And once that had happened, the Dallas lost all its colour, all the tips completely turned white, it turned this horrible dull colour, it was gone, or it clicked on its way out. So we made the decision then and there to take the Dallas out, and when you get a close-up look, you'll see I was pretty angry, so I completely puttied over the Montipora.
Just to make sure that was gone. Show us where that is.
Well, all that purple stuff you see there, that was Montipora.
Yep, that's all epoxy over it. Just make sure it's not coming back.
Yeah, there is some still over on this side.
Okay, yep.
But that's been kept at bay by those very tough little morphs up the top there. They keep it back.
That's the Monty barrier.
And it's not going downwards, so that one can stay there for the time being.
Perfect.
But that was the first loss and first really big one, so it left a big open spot there.
Yes.
We have replaced it with a couple of, what are they ones called, Sam? Remind me in.
On the end here?
Yeah, the end here.
It looks like a milliopore or
Millie,
a
thank you, that's it. Yeah,
Yep.
I'm hopeless with SPS names.
That's all good.
So that was all good. Then I always wanted to replace the rock on this third of the tank. It was really just stacked up, and it was a leftover from when the tank was a fish-only system.
Yep.
So built this new rock scape myself, and in late October, or it might have been early October, we took the old rock scape out and replaced it. And obviously we took a lot of rock out. Probably 40% of the rock in the tank came out. So we did put it in the sump when we did the changeover. We kept a close eye on things like ammonia, nitrite and nitrates. It was rock steady. Not a thing went wrong. So after a few weeks, we started pulling a bits of rock out here and there. That was probably my first mistake.
Okay.
I should have left that rock in probably for months instead of weeks. Because whilst there was no spike in nutrients or anything, what we did find later on, or we believe happened, was there was an imbalance in the bacteria in the tank.
Okay.
So fast forward to, I think it was early Feb 2022, and all of a sudden the first big colony I had up there, the one you know well, the Cadbury Purple, I came out one day and had a massive white hole right in the middle of it.
Wow.
And within 24 hours, it was gone.
So
the whole thing
took off,
just took off, or just stripped right out, RTN, I think they call it.
Yes.
That was the first disaster. Well, obviously, I pulled that out and sat back trying to work out what's going on. And within a matter of 4 or 5 weeks, I lost pretty much all but one coral right across the top of that part of the reef.
Wow.
The big purple Bacillopora there is the only one that survived.
Last man standing, yeah.
Yep. Everything else, just gone. Oh, sorry, the big blue Dallas I think might have been there as well.
Sure.
Sorry, the blue stag.
Blue stag, yep.
Yeah, I think that might have survived as well. But everything else, all the big colonies I had been in the tank for at least probably 3 years, lost a whole lot.
Wow.
So took a step back, just didn't really touch the tank for a while, tried to work out what the heck was going on. And talking through a couple of owners at Deer Park and Williamstown, and I think I had a chat to yourself for a little bit too.
Sure.
We sort of figured out the only thing that it could be, given that there was no spike in nutrients or anything like that, or no ammonia, that it could have only really been probably an imbalance of bacteria. Having said that, I also believed it could have been related to the flow in the tank.
Okay.
Because those corals had grown so big, they were obviously blocking what was there previously, and so there's a combination of things.
Definitely.
And when I did cut up the big Cadbury Purple and got down into its base, we did find some parts in the base which had, obvious nutrients trapped in them.
Sure.
So I think that was part of the issue. Hence, we've changed the flow on these big QPs and also got the bigger gyra.
Definitely. It can be such... I mean, corals, for something that doesn't have a lifespan, it can basically live indefinitely. They're so good at succeeding to the point that they kill themselves, where they grow to the point where they're trapping detritus and can then break out with some rotting down in the base, and then it can just turn bad so quickly. So they're such an incredible animal, but so fickle as well. It's frustrating.
Well, it was a good lesson for me. I mean, I never ever cut those SPS back. I just let them grow. We lost 1 or 2 through coral warfare, but that's pretty normal.
Sure.
I never ever sort of cut them back. But probably my biggest fault was I didn't really understand the changes in the flow in the tank.
Yeah, okay.
With that, so I think the combination of those two things, the bacteria imbalance and the flow, probably caused the big losses that we had.
Yep.
So I waited about 4 or 5 weeks before we did anything, and then I think I came down to had chatted to you at Deer Park and had a chat to Dave, and where we go from here, and they, and the advice was just start ending them slowly.
Yep.
Well, that's what we've been doing over the last few months. So all at the top there, most of them have come from, a few different shops actually.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's a nice robustus up the top there.
Gorgeous, yeah.
It looks really good under blues.
Yep.
The rest of them all came in as probably, except for the one on the end there, they all came in as frags.
Yep, yep.
So yeah,
See some gorgeous. I mean, you got this lovely fireworks, I think it is here, growing. You see it encrusting really nicely. The red polyp Dallas is looking superb. You got lovely red robustus seam. I got the same piece of that when that came in. When you snapped that one up, I quickly put the other one aside because I did not want to miss out on that piece. And bizarre. I mean, as quickly as they went. I mean, how long have these pieces been in the system for now?
It's pretty. Look, that was a fairly large frag, the one on the end there.
Yes.
Sorry, it was more mini colony really.
Sure.
The rest were frags, so the growth is pretty slow.
Okay.
And I'll still put that down to probably low pH. It's dropped back to 8 again.
Sure.
Despite the calc water.
Yep. Yep.
So I think it's all about pH.
Yeah, okay. Just the cooler months rolling around in Australia, just closing the house up a bit more. And
it's that sort of stuff again. So I've been really patient with these ones that are on the end here. There's some really nice pieces up there, but we've still got plenty of space for a few more, but it's going really slow again now. It's almost like turning the clock back when we first started with SPS to try and just make sure.
Slow is okay. I mean, looking at all of these pieces, they've got some really nice encrusting going. Like they've absolutely grown over their tiles onto the rock, and they've really got a good purchase ready to take off now. And same with these ones up here on the top of this rock. They've got really good encrusting there. It might not be happening as quick as what you're used to, but I mean, when you look at the percentage of growth from a frag, it's difficult to replicate the size of a percentage growth of a colony. The percentage is probably the same, but when you've got a small 1 inch long stick versus a 15 kilo colony, that little percentage of growth is drastically different.
The other big difference you'll probably notice, the red scrolling Monty.
Yes.
That took up that entire rock there and started covering my prized possession, the Symphilia, which is looking even better than it did last year, I think.
It is, looking an absolute treat.
we found a couple of gall crabs, one on this point here and one on that point.
Yep.
Out of the way. Londi, move. These 2 points here had gall crabs in them.
Yes.
And took it out, and almost overnight he started fluffing up again.
Wow.
Hadn't done it for a while.
Yeah.
So he's looking happy again. But the Monty had taken over the red Monty, so much so it was almost covering half of that Symphilia. So I cut it right back, and as you can see, I've put it in weird places to try and create some shadow.
Yeah, definitely,
Some pieces that, like, LPS will eventually go up here.
Definitely no. I mean, the growth pattern you get from that's really cool with these steps coming out there. It looks great.
Yeah, so that was sort of the disasters over and done with. So, now we're sort of back on track.
Yep.
It's taken a while though. I mean, the first disaster was early Feb, so it's taken nearly 4, close to 4 months to get back to,
back to a
place where I feel comfortable with it.
Sure,
again.
yeah.
Because for about 5 or 6 weeks there, we were losing pieces so regularly.
Yeah, it hurts when you're taking bits out significantly quicker than you're putting them in. It's not fun at all.
Drop it in an LFS and someone would say, "Oh, how's your tank going?" You go, "I don't want to talk."
Yeah, it's all fun to talk about the tank when it's going well, but when it's not, and you get a lot of people's advice and opinions when they know maybe 2% of what's going on in your tank, and it can be hard work.
We'll talk about it. We'll have a look around the other side too. I've put in quite a couple of extra new hammers over the other side to make a bit of a garden over there.
Gorgeous.
The other side of this rockwork, you'll see when we do go around, is actually still quite naked.
Okay.
So I've still got a fair bit of room to put corals on there, and there's still a bit of room on the other side of this one as well. So still room for plenty to go in.
Always room for new bits and pieces.
Yeah, always. But everything else, I don't think we didn't lose any others. All the corals that we lost were across the top.
Yeah, right.
You know, there might have been one or two other small pieces down here, but I can't think of anything.
Interesting.
I think everything else is pretty much the way it was.
Just-
Obviously, completely different layout.
Yeah, with the change of that rock and some of the big colonies gone, it's definitely given the tank a fresh look. Now, remind me, the tank now has been running as a tank for how long?
So we started in September 2016, which is what? It's coming up to 6 years.
Coming up to 6 years, and it was how long after that you went from fish only to reef?
So it was fish only for 12 months.
Yep. So the system's been running for some time. To face a fairly major issue and to get out of it, still with your head above the surface, a few months
With a
later.
lot less hair though.
Well, that happens with reefing, full stop. But to catch it and to beat it and now be back on track is a testament to the attention you pay to the tank and the dedication that you put to keep this thing afloat. So kudos on that. And
I think for the most part of Sam, it was just step back and leave it alone for a while.
yeah, yep.
You know, just to let it get its balance back.
Just
and
let go of the wheel and
Yeah,
wait till
it
she
took
steadies.
a couple of months probably just for everything to settle down again.
Yeah, yep,
You know, stop putting pieces in for a while, and
for sure.
which is really hard when you go into some fish shops and see some really nice pieces. But yeah, I think you have to at some point in time.
Absolutely.
We've added a few fish.
Yeah, tell us about it.
We've added 4 more antheas in there, lighttail. So there's a school of 7 in there now.
Lovely.
Sultan's very, very happy with his little harem. And it's
There
really
he is.
amusing to watch because some of the bigger females will chase the smaller ones and he jumps in between them and stops them bickering.
Wow. Okay.
Which is really, really interesting. It's a bit like me and the kids and the grandkids.
He's obviously the boss, but I mean he's then got a pecking order of his ladies and
There's a couple
keeps
of
them
big
in line.
ladies in there and he keeps them in their order. So.
Classic. No, they look great, and his coloration's always been spectacular, and it's great to see he hasn't lost any of that, which is amazing.
What else did we do in way of fish? We're about to put in another Bellis.
Yes.
So there's one coming out of quarantine tonight
Beautiful.
to join Bella.
Lovely.
We don't know what we're going to name it yet. Hopefully, I just saw your fish video this morning and thinking about a name. If he does change, we need another name. So
Definitely.
we'll still have a Bella, but we don't know what the male. Hopefully, they will change over time.
Yeah.
That was always the idea.
Definitely.
And like your tank, we do name a lot of our fish. A few that we missed last time, there's a cleaneress in there called Sadie,
Yes.
for obvious reasons.
Obvious reasons,
For
yeah,
anyone over sort of 40 would probably know what we're talking about.
Sadie's going to go right on cue for us.
Yeah, there she is. And does a really good job too. All
Yeah.
the fish will queue up.
Yeah. Wow.
Has never ever been a pest in the tank.
Beautiful.
They can get a little bit overzealous at times.
Yes.
But no, been fine, that one. The 6-line wrasse too. I'm not sure whether we had him.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Last time. It's
gonna be-
certainly gone in the last 12 to 14 months.
It's going to be fun to. Oh, there he goes. No, that's the damsel.
Oh,
So it'd be fun to find in a big system like
I
this.
just remembered because he popped his head out. He does get out and about a fair bit. Yeah, I'm not quite sure where he is, but anyway. Oh, there he is, right there underneath the...
Oh, yeah, there he goes. Just as I was focusing in on the mandarin doing a beautiful little flutter of the fins there, of course now he stopped the cameras on him. There he goes. Spectacular fish, nice and fat and healthy too, beautiful.
Yeah. So we've got a couple of fish. When Jeremy shut down his tank,
Yes,
we just kept Joey, the mandarin fish,
yes.
and we kept Dusty here. If you keep your camera on this little hole here,
Oh, yep.
there he is, little tiger blenny. Threw out my frag plug and made his home under there.
He's quite happy in there, isn't he?
Yeah, and he's out and about all the time too. He's
Yeah, I
quite
didn't notice
comfortable,
him
but
before.
That's a great home for him.
Perfect spot for him. There he is, spitting the sand out.
Some other bits that we've put in, Sam, that picked up this beautiful green fungia.
Yeah,
You'll
big piece.
see its mouth has got spectacular colour on
Yeah,
it.
you've got lovely stripes through the mouth. Yeah, blue lips and yeah, stunning piece.
He's very, very happy. Lobo there, the gold one we picked up. A couple of trackies are new as well.
Lovely.
And the last time you were here, we had just put a bunch of new Goni and torch in the tank.
Yes.
Only one torch left.
Wow, yeah.
I don't think that was at all related to the other issues that we had.
Sure.
But we've still got 2 of the gonies, and I've put in a few extra ones, but they're a mystery to me, gonies. One day they'll open up, next day they don't.
Yeah.
I just don't know what's going on with them half the time.
Such a funny thing. I mean, gonies and torches as well, both known to be somewhat fickle, but it is funny how in some tanks, not fickle at all. You can drop them in and they'll go, but vice versa, they'll have trouble with montiporas, and you can grow them almost upside down here. And yeah, it is funny just how there is these unexplained nuances with every tank of things that grow like weeds and things that are just an Achilles heel.
So what else have we done? I think that's about it, really. As I say, infrastructure-wise, just the Kalkwatsa.
Yep.
We're still running the sulphur reactor.
Yep, great.
So what are we running it at? Test results last week. Let's go through them. Phosphate was 0.06.
Yes.
Nitrate was 12. Calcium about 460.
Yes.
I run my mag high. I run that at about 1480.
Sure, yep.
What have I missed there? They're the main ones anyway.
Yeah, yep.
There was the other thing. We did have a problem with potassium
Okay.
in the tank for a few months. I changed brands.
Right.
And on the labelling on the packets, they said it was the same strength when mixed up.
Okay.
I don't believe that for a minute anymore because my potassium went through the roof.
Right,
Like it was sitting at 590.
Yep, yep.
Well, I think, its range should be between 380 and 480.
Sure.
And it took several months to get that down. It's one of those elements that don't get chewed up quickly in the tank unless you do a massive water change, which you end up doing a 300 litre water change and completely stop the dosing we were doing for about a week to get it down under 500.
Yep.
It's still sitting around 480 now, so I want to come down a little bit more. But that was happening at the same time, so it's quite possible that had some sort of impact.
Yeah, you never know. It could have been a combination of a few things there that just all ends up being the I can't remember what the story is, but I think it's the mouse that sank the boat or something. If you get all these things piling in the boat, and the last little creature sits on there, and that's the one that just tips it over the edge.
Yeah,
and
it's the straw that broke the camel's back.
Exactly. Yeah. There's such a delicate balance of things there that if you get a few small things that they could handle on their own, potentially combined together, just ended up being catastrophic.
Yeah. Sorry, we were talking about the bubble tip anemone before, Sam. Do you remember we talked about it just before last week when you came over? We've got an extra one in there.
Yeah, wow.
And we'd like to make it a giveaway.
Sure.
And I'm not going to work out how to make this a competition for your YouTube channel. You can do that.
No trouble.
Work out how that's going to happen. But that bubble tip will be made free to one of your viewers, subscribers.
Fantastic, yeah,
whatever
great.
you want to do, we'll let you work that out.
We'll get people to comment in the video below of what tank they're going to put that bubble tip into, and what animals I guess are going to host in it, if any, and we'll randomly pick one of the comments, and we'll get that anemone out to you.
Okay, so that'd be great for people who've got LPS, softies, tangos. If they want to put them in a mixed reef, that'd be great.
Yep.
I've also got a few frags up there, some Gold Rush Montipora, and
beautiful.
That can go. One of them can go to your viewers as well.
Fantastic.
Free of charge.
Oh, you're a good man.
So get on. Put some comments in there. See how you go.
Sure. And you've got the frags you've got are always so beautifully coloured. They absolutely glow in their beautiful pieces. Very, very nice indeed. And that's one thing I love about your tank here is it is the peninsula setup, and all three angles have got just beautiful viewing angles. You can the scape really works well, where you've got some nice low pieces down here that you can see the colour over the top, but then you've got room on the top for the SPS to grow, and you can still see down this side. As you walk around the tank, you get a good angle, and just all three views give you a very different look.
Yeah, this is actually one of my favourite views. It's just a pity we have to have the gyro where it is, but I sort of ignore it, just crouch down a little bit.
It's a necessary evil.
But I do like that view.
It really gives it that sense of depth, and just the splash of colour you get from all the different pieces there is really nice view.
Do you want to come around the other side? Oh, welcome to the other side. So this is a fair bit different. We've put a couple of extra hammers in there. if you remember in the last video, we had a mad Zoa rock up there, and I wasn't happy with the way it was looking. Well, the rock did go.
Yep.
And we've now sorted that up by putting Zoas on their own rocks, so we
Yes.
get a nice mix of colour through there.
Oh, the colours are absolutely popping from those zoas. Really, really nice.
Yeah, they're very happy. The
great.
orange mandarin's not completely out, don't know why, but that changes throughout the course of the day.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, made a nice little hammer garden there. There is a frog spawn at the back there as well, but just to prove that they can live together.
Definitely. A really nice combination of colours there. And looking happy as Larry too.
Yeah, it's interesting actually. When they do close up overnight, most of them are just a couple of heads.
Yes.
And look quite small until they,
fill
open
up and take
Like
up
this
the
purple,
space.
usually late at night, this purple one at the front there it gets almost, I'd say almost 1.5 times the size of that.
Wow.
It just really reaches out. I don't know if it's the time of the day or what it is. These ones here haven't changed.
Okay.
That is one of the torch that was over the other side when you were here last. It's got
Yes.
funny shaped, what do you call them?
Yeah, the polyps on it are quite, strange
really-
for a torch. They're kind of, got little lumpy bits on them.
Yeah,
but
it's weird. the other, we lost the other two, the
Yes.
two expensive ones, of course.
Yeah, of course.
And the cheap one survived. And the gonies, well, they're a mystery to me.
they don't look to be
They
doing
sort of
too
look,
bad.
They sort of look all right. Yeah, they're receding a bit.
Okay.
And I think it could be too much flow, maybe. I'm not sure. I mean, they don't look like they're getting blown around at the moment,
No, I
but there are
wouldn't say they're getting
times
blasted, yeah.
there are times when they are blown around a bit. Yeah, just one of those hard things to work out with the goni.
Definitely.
But so we've got plenty of space, Sam. We've got more a shelf up here.
Yes.
Which I'm toying with the idea of putting 3 or 4, probably 3 different types of bird's nest up
Okay.
there.
Yeah, beautiful.
And just keeping them small.
Yep. Okay.
Toying with that
Trimming
idea
them
at the moment. I've actually got them on the rack there ready to go.
ready to go, ready to position.
But then we've still got all this space here, which is
Yeah,
really
lots to
still
work
quite vacant. So still looking for some SPS to go up there.
I'm sure it won't be long. You'll find plenty of pieces to
And
stick in
can't stop this green Monty growing. So
there. Well, it looks nice, so there's worse problems to have.
yeah, but so I don't know. From this side, I love this view actually because we sit down here at night and watch TV.
Yeah.
This is the sort of view we get. Starting to get some good polyp extension on some of the SPS too, which is
Yes.
nice because it wasn't always that way, particularly over the last few months.
Okay.
So we're really, really happy with the way that's coming along.
Definitely back on the right
and
track.
and again, I think that's because of the flow. We've changed the flow up quite considerably.
Yes.
These QPs are now facing inward and on a different pattern, so they're crashing
Okay.
a lot, and they're crashing around about this area here.
Yeah,
so
yeah, just
I
creating
think
that
it's
chaos.
stirring the water up amongst the SPS, which I think they're liking.
Yep.
Certainly, if you look at some of the polyp extension, I think that's what's happening.
Yes.
So that's been a bit different, trying to get that water flow right. But yeah, it's been an experience the last 12 months.
Definitely been a learning curve that no one wants to face, but I think once your tank gets over 5-6 years old, it's one of those things that you're going to face some sort of struggle at some point in time because closed ecosystems and crazy growth that you were having, something was going to give at some point in time.
I suppose.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, it's just pity it had to be all the really nice, well-grown ones.
Always the way. Always the way.
Yeah. But yeah, otherwise, everything's sort of settled down again now, so we're pretty happy with the way that's happening.
Yeah, no, it looks great. And as you say, the view from this side is sensational. The tank is absolutely dead silent. You cannot hear a single drop of water, and you just get this beautiful view. There's something about a peninsula when you can see right through to the other side of the tank. It just gives you this, it just honestly makes the tank feel considerably deeper than it is. It feels like it goes on for 6 or 8 feet, but the fish just moving around through that scape and all those colours from the coral just look an absolute treat.
Yeah, we're pretty happy with it again now. I couldn't have said that 3 months ago, but and you know what? I think for anybody that can keep a mixed reef, kudos to you, right? Because it's not easy.
Absolute
You know,
challenge.
getting the elements and your parameters at a level where both SBS and LPS and even if you have softies, getting them in there at the right level so that everything's happy is quite a challenge.
Definitely.
sort of makes me think one day I might just set up an SPS tank to see if it's any easier. I'm sure people will say it isn't, but yeah.
To be honest, I think the difficult part of an SPS tank is the patience at the start, because everyone always has these grand ideas of starting an SPS tank and going with frags and letting it grow into the system. It's a long road. It's a pretty empty tank for 3 or 4 years.
Well, actually, yeah, and I have seen a few videos on YouTube where guys have got these beautiful SPS tanks. And they say it's been running for 12 months. I'm going, really? Like, you must have bought colonies this big.
Yeah.
There's no way they're getting that growth in 12 months. But well, having said that, I keep an eye on your tank, which has had incredible growth.
Some things grow quick, some things not. I do like to add mini colonies. I find the colonies have good stability, but still being fairly small in that when they grow, the growth pattern's going to suit the tank rather than where they'll cut from. But the beauty of LPS, in my opinion, is that you can get that colour and movement somewhat instantly. I mean, it's going to take a month or two to settle in. And but then the tides almost turn. The SPS becomes easier long term, and I find the LPS to become more difficult long term to keep it happy, particularly in a mixed environment. And to see it pulled off to this level is absolutely awe-inspiring. Just watching the yellow tank there just make all the Christmas worms just jump back. Well, not all of them, but a few of them jumped back into the rock. It's good to see that's still doing well.
Yeah, it has its days. I had to clean it up a little while ago. A little bit of algae got in places where the fish couldn't get to. And a couple of aptasia got on it. But it's still done really well. That rock, though, was, when we first got it, almost twice that size.
Yeah, wow, okay.
And we've had a few years now, but had times where we've had to cut off a whole chunk because it's just been infested with something.
Right.
We just couldn't. It was either do that or lose the whole lot.
Yeah, well, you've done well to save it because it still looks an absolute treat in there. Good variety of colours.
It's actually the wife's choice. There's not a lot in here that she's chosen, but she chose that.
Well, she chose well. Sensational. Looks great. And now that things are back on track, plans for the system other than filling out a couple of those spots?
Well, I don't know. Other than filling out those spots, the tank's nearing 6 years.
Yeah.
I've probably only got a couple more years of work and I'll retire. So, what happens with the tank after that's going to be a big decision. Can I afford to maintain it in retirement or not?
Yes.
Though I must say it's not costing me a lot to run now.
Yeah.
It's at a point now where if you're not putting heaps of stuff into it anymore, not buying big equipment anymore.
For sure.
Mind you, the Radion Gen 3s won't last forever, so I might have to get a Gen 6 or something like that.
Yep. Lighting's never cheap.
But yeah, things like that. So I'm just not sure. It'll be pretty much just same as it is now for the next couple of years. We'll see how it goes.
For sure.
I won't make a decision until I've made my mind up to retire, and then we'll have to work out what happens.
See where things go. Hopefully by then you'll have that many frags kicking off it that'll help offset the costs.
Yeah, possibly. Look, I mean, I was going, as you know, we were going to get in the frag growing and all that and selling it. It just became too much for playing the backside, to be honest.
It's a lot of work,
And it's just not worth it.
No.
Unless you're doing it in a large scale and you can, you've got a shop that's going to take them off your hands. It's just not worth it.
For sure.
So, kudos to those that do, though. I think it's great that we can buy a frag of a decent piece. And,
absolutely.
I'm glad someone's doing it. And we obviously have to protect the environment, so that's all a wonderful thing. But yeah, for me, it's probably just this and not looking too much into the future past the next 24 months. And we'll just see what happens.
Very wise and humble.
I've lost a little bit of my assistants too. You remember Jeremy?
Yes.
Used to do a lot of the work. Well, his interests now have moved significantly.
Yeah, Jeremy's into rocketry. About the only hobby that I think you could get into that's more complex than reef keeping is rocket science. But I mean, I guess it does bring a certain type of people to reef keeping, and I imagine, launching rockets is much. It's got some crossover there that would come in handy. But I guess I'll put some footage on screen now of some of the rockets he's launched, and if his spare time is tied up in that means
he's in New South Wales this weekend. He's driven all the way up there for a launch event, and he's on his way back now. So he left Friday about 1 o'clock.
Yep.
And it's near Port Macquarie, so it's like. It's a fair drive.
Yep, well
for him
and truly
and one of his
it.
mates.
Classic.
So because he's away a fair bit now, I have to do the heavy lifting underneath the tank, which is not great.
Understandable.
But look, he's great when he's around.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It's just he's not around a lot. He's off shooting rockets off everywhere. But anyway.
I get that.
Yeah, I suppose that's about a wrap, I suppose.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here again, and thanks for giving us your time.
Thanks so
look
much.
Look forward to another video coming up.
Yeah, thanks so much for letting us into your house just to document, one, your beautiful tank, but also all the changes that it's gone through, both the positive and the negative. I do think it's super important to just to be truthful about the hobby, and just, I know it's very easy to jump on YouTube and talk about everything that's going great, and we tend to push under the rug everything that's not going so great, and it does paint a somewhat unrealistic picture of reef keeping. Yeah. I do think it's much more beneficial if we talk about the highs in reef keeping as well as the lows, because ultimately they both make up the full picture.
Yeah, absolutely. That's probably a good way to finish the video, Sam.
No worries.
See you again.
Thank you so much. Cheers. All right, guys, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed the tour as much as I did visiting John's place and getting an up-to-date view of his tank, because personally I feel like despite some of the challenges he's had, he has come through with flying colors, and his mixed reef looks as good as ever. Even though I know John wants to see those frags grow out a little bit more, I assure you it will happen soon enough, John. Now, as touched on in the video, he does have a couple of giveaways for us for people watching this video now. So we've got a bubble tip anemone to give away, and also a beautiful Gold Rush multipora frag. I will have to restrict that to just Australia, because I'm not able to export CITES listed animals out of Australia, unfortunately. So if you are a reefer from Australia and you have a good home for either one of those pieces, please pop it in the comment section down below what tank you would put it in and why it should go to your tank over someone else's. I will pick one at random and make sure I get those posted out to you anywhere in Australia. Other than that, guys, if you do have any questions, comments, or feedback for either myself or John and his incredible reef tank, feel free to pop it in the comment section down below, because I do personally reply to each and every message there. It is the best way to get hold of me. Other than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed watching. Till next time, stay safe, keep reefing. Cheers, bye.